So one of the ways that I've combated this in my music lessons is I've structured them where we break things up. So for example, one of my favorite structures, and I'm happy to share it here, for music teachers alike, I think this works really well, is like the beginning part of the lesson, we're doing skill building, so scales, chords, sort of working on the components of music out of the structure of a song, but with rhythmic elements, with certain parameters, working on dynamics, working on all kinds of aspects of music, but from a purely skill building place. Then we move into like a lesson book, something that it's satisfying because you can learn a song in a week or two. It's at the right level for a student. And I also think it's important for the first few years, at least, no matter what their age is, that you do follow some sort of book. I oftentimes have used the Alfred method, and that's for a particular reason that I'll talk about. But I've taught in all different methods because I never thought it was wise to like make a student start over in a different method if they came to me from another teacher. So I've taught in all different methods, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses, but what's important is that they create a strong foundation. They take you page by page through the components of music basics, and this is important because being an autodactyl or somebody who teaches themselves music, that can be great in many ways, but sometimes you have holes in your foundation and you don't know it, and then later, no matter what, you could not understand why you can't get to a certain speed with a certain song, or you hit certain walls in music and you don't know why. And very often it's because you have holes in your foundation. So I think it's very important as a music teacher to help my students with building that foundation, because this is what I can offer them. It is true these days, you don't necessarily have to have a music teacher, okay? I'm going to be honest with you about that, but one of the benefits of having a music teacher is we got your back on this kind of stuff, things that you don't know. And we're helping you to create that foundation underneath you so that later when you do take it on yourself, hopefully, and you start to choose the music you want to do in the direction you want to go, you have such a solid foundation, you really can go any direction. So this is why I advocate for some type of lesson book that you go through at least the first few levels. And then after that, then I work on repertoire with my students. And at this point, this is the recital pieces. This is longer songs, harder songs, hopefully songs that the student actually likes and wants to play, but not in all cases, because I do have students that sometimes literally don't have a preference. Side note here, especially for my girl students, I thought it was always very important to get their opinion, to ask them questions, to get their feedback, because I didn't want it to just be, I sort of was able to make it through the entire school system without really understanding what my preferences were, right? I was very, very good at doing what others asked of me and excelling, but when it came to me making the choices for myself, I was at a loss. I didn't even know how to do it. So a lot of times I would use this particular time in the lesson to say, what songs do you want to learn? And I do meet students, especially girls, but they're boys too, increasingly so, that are just like, I don't care. I really don't care. And it doesn't always come down to just the fact that they don't love music, although in some cases that is what it is. They just really don't care about music that much, and it doesn't really matter to them what song they learn. They're all kind of the same. And I will say I do think it's a good idea to expose students to different pieces of music. But when you're working on a song for months and months, sometimes years and years, having it be a song that you're emotionally connected to, especially for singers, which is a topic we'll get into another time, why being emotionally connected can help to bring out the voice. But even from a creative expression place, right? Because with these pieces, we don't just want to learn technique. Technique is first. The lesson book is a lot about technique, but these pieces we want to take to expression as well, because music is more than technique. Music is about human expression. It's about beauty. It's about combining the two parts of our brain, the left and the right brain. And this is what can happen when we really get to that place with a piece. And this is where what becomes sort of performance worthy, right? Like, why is it that we're going to play it in front of an audience? Is it just because we want them to marvel at our technique? Or is it because we actually have something to say, something interesting to say through the piece. So if a child is naturally attracted to a song, then I can teach this, I can get to this place much more naturally than trying to get them to express a piece that I picked out for them, if that makes sense. So those are the three components of how I run my lessons. And